I'm 82. I was born in Iowa.
Your parents, did they have a strong reaction that you remember at all?
No, we were my parents farmed in Iowa. 6 kids. Uh, World War II, uh, I didn't know my husband at that time, but World War II, between my junior and senior year of high school, my sister and I went to California, and we worked in a plant where they made airplanes for the war. So, and every Sunday we'd go out to the beach to the USO dances, which was, we seen a lot of soldiers. We did. And that was between my junior and senior year of high school.
What was it like working in that plant?
In a plant?
Yeah.
Well, I had the job of they called it scribing. They had these parts that were all made, and then you fit them on a mold thing, and then you had a punch, and you held that punch in a hole in the. They put the part that they were going to use, and then they put a pattern over the top, and then there was holes in that pattern, and then you had to hold that punch and hit it once with the hammer. If you hit it twice, there'd be 2 little marks, so you had to hit it once. And my thumb got so big, I'd miss that punch and hit my thumb. I had a huge thumb until I learned to use that hammer, so I can really use a hammer. I'm very good at that. After I graduated, my sister lived in Peoria, Illinois, and I worked at a place where they packed K rations for the that they sent overseas, and I put gum and toilet paper and one other thing in that box, and the boxes were on a belt, and those boxes come down that belt so fast, and I'd try and get that gum and toilet paper in those boxes, and they just piled up. I had a terrible time. I got so sick from watching that belt because you couldn't look up, So they so they moved me to the cafeteria. I only did it a few days, and then they moved me. So
Tell me,
that was a short experience,
sure.
but that was during the war.
Explain what a K ration is, or ration.
Well, they sent these boxes to overseas with all this stuff in it, gum and toothpaste and I don't know what all was in there. It was not a big box, but they sent them to the soldiers. Yeah, so I helped do that.
Do you remember listening to the radio a lot for war updates at all? Or?
No, I don't remember that. I wasn't that old, and I think it's like now. If you're not really involved, if you're not married to someone that is over there, why, we had rationing of silk stockings, and there was gas rationing, but that didn't bother us. We weren't that, 17. You don't worry about that stuff. Just like they don't now with this war. I don't think the people that have family over in Iraq really, they don't think about it that much because they're not that. If they had gas rationing, then they'd think about it a little more. Or if they raised their taxes, they'd think about it more. But I don't think, unless you have somebody there, why you don't, or if it hurts you some way, if the rationing hurts you some way, why then I think people think about it. But World War II was a little different. I think people worried about World War II more than they worry about this war. That's how I feel.
So you had 6 siblings, right?
There were 6 in my family, but we have 2 daughters, and my grandson who lived with me just come home from Iraq. He was there a year and a half, or a year and 4 months, I guess is how long. He just got home. So we're very happy he's home. He was his Humvee was blown up, and the soldier that was sitting beside him lost both his legs. And
how old is he?
24. And he he got a concussion and he couldn't see for a while, and his hearing is, yeah. So he's had head injuries from it. So he just got home with this group that come home in Minnesota. Yeah.
I imagine you pay closer attention to this war now.
Oh my! I this war because I had someone there. I watched every bit of news. I watched all the news. I at night, I'd watch the latest news that come on. Yeah. Now since he's back, I haven't been watching it so much. That's how it is. That's how it works.
Going back to World War II, and I mean, you could see it today how the Iraq War has changed communities or certain people within the community.
Yeah.
Did you notice during World War II that the community changed at all?
I think in World War II everyone was patriotic. I think everyone worried about, I don't think they do that much now. I don't think everybody did then either if they didn't have someone over there, but I think everyone was very patriotic then, from what I remember, and everyone isn't now. Very different.
Do you remember the end of the war, or maybe how
Oh,
you
I
felt
remember
then?
the end, yeah. Yeah.
What was your
And
reaction?
I met my husband right after the war, and he said he was a German prisoner for 26 months, and so he come home a little sooner than he said. He says he had his pick when he got home. That's what he just told this gentleman. He said I had my pick when I got home because I was home first. And but anyway, I met him after he come home. And we've been married for 60 years.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Do you remember when they dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima?
Yes, I do remember.
Do you remember where you were and how you found out?
And no, I don't remember where I was or how I found out, but yeah, that was a big thing. Yeah.
How about, did you have any feelings towards the enemy at all, the Germans or the Japanese? Any?
I knew that the Japanese were probably much worse to the prisoners than the Germans, but I wasn't that old. Now I would know. I would have much different feelings now than I had when I was 16. Yeah. Or if I were married then and had a family and my husband was there, I would, that's much different. So.
Did you have any friends you went to school with go over at all, or?
My sister's boyfriend then was a Marine, and he was a Japanese prisoner, and we knew him well. I knew my husband was a prisoner, but I didn't know him then. And I knew people who were killed, in the war. And there was one friend that I knew that was shot down when he was parachuting when the paratroopers. He was shot on his way down. They were easy targets. So there were people that we knew, of course, that were killed. Yeah.
For you working in those factory jobs, you wouldn't have had those jobs if there weren't a war going on.
No, that's true.
What else would you have been doing at that time? Would you just stay on the farm rather than go out to California? Or?
And no, I had a sister I told you, in Peoria, Illinois. So after I graduated from high school, I went out there and worked. I'm a singer. I was a professional singer in Illinois, and I've been doing it ever since. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Are you still singing now?
Yes, I am. I sing with an orchestra.
Has it been difficult for you at all to be married to a POW, a former POW?
He, for many years, he didn't want to talk about it. And now he talks about it, but every time he cries. Yes, he always has tears when he talks about it, but he does talk about it. But he didn't for a long time.
Are there certain things he won't say still?
No, I don't think so. I think he'll talk about most anything, yeah. now. Yeah, I think when he uh, when he was taken as a prisoner, he's a person that can handle most anything. He would take it in stride. Had some very bad times. He weighed the least 100 pounds maybe at one time when he was a prisoner, and then he worked in like potato farms or whatever, and then they'd get potatoes to eat and stuff. But at one time he was crippled, and he crawled around fence lines and ate dandelions to keep from dying. Yeah. So he has a lot of things to say about when he was a prisoner. Yeah. But he moved a lot, and so he was in a lot of different camps. And I think
You
they're
said
all
German,
different. He
right?
was in Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was captured in Africa, though. He was on the first boat that went across. He carried a guitar around on his back because there was one guy in the outfit that could really play guitar. So he carried this guitar in Africa when they was in the desert, when they were fighting, until he just couldn't. He left it under a cactus bush, that guitar. And he can play too, but there was one guy that could really play good. So, no, he talks about things like that. Some things are funny and some things are not.